That's interesting. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and we've got loads to talk about. If I said to you, first of all, imagine De Ligt doesn't sign for Manchester United, would you laugh? Would you cry? Would you dance? Would you walk away from football? Because who knows, it might happen. And if it does happen, we will have to resurrect this transfer window that we seem all to be obsessed with. One player, one 19-year-old centre-back from Ajax seems to be the decider for our transfer window. Well, we're going to talk about different players because he may well not sign for Manchester United. There's a lot of people out there saying, well, United never get these deals over the line. When you think back over the years, the big players we've tried to sign, the Ronaldinos, it's not worked. Well, it worked with Pogba, so it could work again. But that's not all I'm going to say about that. We're going to start off with Wan Bissaka. There was even a rumour yesterday that the official Manchester United Twitter account, official Manchester United website, put an article up saying, well done to the 5 Manchester United players that are involved in England duty, and Wan Bissaka was linked as was written down as one of those. I don't know whether it's fake or real or whatever, because you get this sort of nonsense through the transfer window. But there are a lot of in the knows saying that Manchester United, Wan Bissaka, it's a done deal, this, that, and the other. My stance on this, well, look, from what you look at, £70 million is what Crystal Palace want for Wan Bissaka. Straight away, that's too expensive, and I think Crystal Palace have been quite astute here. They've apparently stuck a price tag of £100 million on Wilfried Zaha, which is way too much money, and they've apparently put a price tag of £70 million on Wan Bissaka, which is way too much money. He's not even, he's hardly played for England, has he, at all yet? So, yes, he's a young, talented English lad, but 70 million is ridiculous, but Crystal Palace have the right to do that. If they want to do that, they can put that sort of value on him. Do I think Manchester United are in for him? I would be very excited if we were. He's exactly the sort of player that we need. He's young, he's fast, he's going to be very, 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 very good. And Manchester United basically play with 10 men. We don't actually play with a right back. There is this person who I think is sort of, he's won some sort of prize. I think it's some sort of play for Manchester United for a day, and if you pay a bit extra, they'll actually give you the captaincy. I think Ashley Young actually retired from professional footballer about 4 years ago, and what I think he's done is, with his earnings over the up until he was 30, he uses that money to play for United at right back, because we don't actually use a right back. We play with 10 men, and then Ashley Young doing whatever he's doing to nail that spot down. So to have a right back like Wan Bissaka would be great, but I still think Delot has got that. I don't know why people have washed their hands of Delot. I think he still has that potential to be better than Wan Bissaka. And I know people will be going, oh, you don't know what you're on about, but you can't tell me Wan Bissaka's going to be better than Delot. Well, you can do. It's a prediction, but I could easily say I think Delot's going to be better than Wan Bissaka. I don't actually know who's going to be better. I don't even want to get into a debate about it, but we have got Delot. And I wouldn't be bothered if we got Mounier to come in, and as long as it's not Ashley Young, I'm not bothered. I don't think Wan Bissaka to Manchester United is going to happen. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does, and it has been spoken about a lot. But it just has always reminded me of another player we're going to talk about, Toby Alderweireld. It reminds me of Toby Alderweireld last year. And it was exactly this time last year where lots of people were saying Alderweireld's a done deal. There was even YouTubers, don't get me started, who were saying it's a done deal. I've been told, I work in the industry, I've been told it's a done deal for Alderweireld. We were never in for Toby Alderweireld last summer at all. It was just paper talk and bullshit. That's what it was. We weren't in for him. We were never in for Alderweireld last summer. And with Wan Bissaka, I sort of get that same feeling, because most of it's coming from people I just do not trust. And I'd like Wan Bissaka to sign, but I've heard a lot of things about buying houses, him himself saying he'll be at Palace next season. I don't think we're in for him. I really, really don't. But I know a lot of you wish that we were. So let's see what happens, because it's one of I don't know. I don't profess to know things. Sometimes I get told things and I'll tell you, but I don't know anything about Wan Bissaka. I just don't think it's going to happen. Talking about Toby Alderweireld, I mean, to be honest, what I would say about the right back situation is, do you think if we don't get Wan Bissaka, would you be happy with Mounier, or do you think Cancelo? I do think we probably do need another right back, but we might not. We might not get one. Talking about the Toby Alderweireld thing, a development on that. A lot of people still feel that we might go towards Alderweireld if we don't get De Ligt or Koulibaly. We might go for Alderweireld because he is available for £25 million in August. That's a fact. His release clause kicks in there, and he's got 1 year left on his contract, and he can be bought for £25 million in August. Alderweireld has himself got a Champions League final this week and has come out and said that, look, I've got 1 year left on my contract. I see myself at Spurs next season. And I think that is an interesting element to it. Alderweireld has not signed the new contract at Spurs, so a lot of people think he's going to go in August. And yeah, he can go in August for 25 million quid. But let's not forget, he's 30 years of age, and he is available. He will be available for free in January. So 25 million may not seem like much, but actually he's available for free in January. In a year's time, he's available for free as well. So an Alderweireld, actually, it really made me think about it, because I think Alderweireld may well want to stay at Spurs for another year, because if somebody buys him for £25 million and pays his release clause, who gets the 25 million? Spurs. He gets wages, but that's it. Gets a bit of a signing on fee. If he waits a year, Spurs don't get a signing on fee, but get a transfer fee. He does. So I think Alderweireld will probably stay at Spurs. I think he probably will, and I think that's what he's hinting at. So Alderweireld probably not another centre-back option disappears there with that. Not necessarily definite, but I do think from his comments it's looking like that, and I think Alderweireld's intentions are to run his contract down, be 31, and then go somewhere and get a big payday. Maybe China, I don't know. So we'll see what happens with Alderweireld, but maybe not an option for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, let me just bring Bruno Fernandes in here actually. I spoke about Bruno Fernandes at the weekend and what he'd said. He'd basically said that, you know, he's put 2 years of really loads of effort into his career at Sporting Lisbon. He doesn't know where he's going to be next year. Record, who are a Portuguese outlet, fairly decent in relation to Portuguese news. They're saying that the offers from Manchester City and Manchester United are there, but Manchester City are certainly the more favourable option and are leading the race at the moment. Look, on that, I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic about that. I'd love Bruno Fernandes to sign for Manchester United. I think he's more suitable for us if Pogba leaves, although if Pogba stays, he could still be a decent option. I'm not too sure that Bruno Fernandes and Pogba work well in a 4-3-3, but there are ways you could fit them in. I think if Pogba goes, he'd be a very, very good replacement for Pogba. I don't really stress about the interest from Manchester City. If he goes to Man City, he's going to Man City because of where they are in the league, what they can offer in relation to the Champions League. We can't compete with that. We can't compete. We can't give him Champions League football, and we can't say we're going to win a league title next year. Man City can. And if we lose out on players because of that, it's disappointing, but we can't really moan too much because we've contributed to that. But I think we're in the race for Bruno Fernandes, and we'll wait and see. I've always been quite confident that we would sign him, not for any reason other than I just think that we will. I think we're in for him. I think we'll get him. And if he goes to City, we'll just have to take it on the chin. And he said on the bench, we'll have to take it on the chin. I still think he's a good player. I really do. Another player I really like, Hirving Lozano. I mention him because he hasn't been mentioned enough around Manchester United. He is a right winger. He gets lots of goals and lots of assists. He's been a player that's been mentioned, that's been linked to Manchester United for a long time. And at the moment, it's a little bit quiet on him. But the interesting thing about Hirving Lozano is two things. One, his agent is Mino Raiola. And Mino Raiola, whatever you think about him, I believe he is going to be fundamental to Manchester United's transfer window yet again. Paul Pogba, obviously, is his client. De Ligt is his client. And Hirving Lozano is one of his clients. And there are others. But Hirving Lozano, for me, I think, look, Sancho's not going to happen. And we're looking at right-wing options, and Daniel James is coming in, but he's more of a left-sider and he's more of one for the future. We need to bring in a right-winger of real star quality who can come to this club, professionally apply themselves, none of the pretenders we've got at the moment, none of the downing tools, none of the downing of the head, none of the moodiness, a professional footballer who is on a journey to take their career to the highest highs it can go. And I think Lozano is one of those players. He's come over from Mexico, he's been fantastic at PSV. Man City were heavily linked to him last summer when he went to PSV. And he's just pulled out of the Mexican national team for the Gold Cup. So he's had a knee injury from late April, and it was touch and go whether he could play for Mexico. He's not going to be able to do it. Their first game is on June the 15th. So the thing with Lozano that is more interesting is that Napoli had apparently sorted a deal for 40 million quid. That's not been finalised yet. And I think there's an opportunity for Manchester United there. This Raiola thing is interesting, and we need a right winger of star quality. And I think Lozano would be fantastic for Manchester United. And it's not a deal that's going to happen massively quickly because he's not going to be able to do a medical till July because of his recovery from his knee injury. But I think we need to start looking at realistic right-wing options. Daniel James will come in, but Daniel James is not going to solve our right-wing problem. He's a championship player, he's a young kid, and he's going to need time to adjust. You can't throw him in on the right wing. We can't use Mata and Lingard there again, God no. So we've got to bring somebody in. And I think he's a very, very good option for Manchester United, Hirving Lozano, and I really, really do hope that we do do something around that. There are other options, of course. Nicola Pepe is a great player. We were talking about him last night with Adam from Get French Football News. Even Steven Bergwijn from PSV maybe. But I really hope that something happens with Lozano. And I think Mino Raiola is critical, absolutely critical to our summer. The Pogba thing, the De Ligt thing, and others. I mean, even Manolas is a client of his. Does that mean we'll go in for Manolas? I hope not. So let's see what happens with that. But I really do like the look of Lozano. With regards to Lukaku, there's two things I need to bring you actually. Coutinho is going to leave Barcelona. Manchester United and Chelsea have been named by Deportivo outlet in Spain, I think it was. Well, Chelsea can't buy anybody because they've got a transfer ban. And if we sign Coutinho, I literally just do not know what I will do if we sign Coutinho. I've never seen such a crap player for one. I thought he was absolutely diabolical against Liverpool. I wasn't that impressed with him against us either. He is just not what Manchester United need at all. Another inverted winger, and no, I just do not want that deal. It just got me worried when I remember us being linked to him before. And I don't know what you lot think. That's why I brought it up. What do you think about Coutinho? For me, it's a big fat no. I really hope not. I really hope not with that. And regards Lukaku, I think is clearly going to go. Good. Lewandowski's been mentioned again, which I think Lewandowski's an interesting one. Obviously, he's the wrong age, and it's not the first time in the last week that we've been linked with Lukaku replacements who are more into their 30s than 20s. Cavani was another one. Lewandowski's an interesting one. I mean, done very well in the German league, But I've watched Lewandowski in the Champions League and in tournaments for Poland, and he's disappeared. And I don't think that's what United need. I don't think this is what United need, full stop. Last week we were talking about the Pedro lad from Fluminense, who's like 21. He's an all-action, all-round striker. He's got the lot. And I think that is what United need. When United were working well under Oli, when you had Rashford, Lingard and Martial, when it was working well, you had that interchangeability, you had that speed and flair, and it worked really well. I don't think you get that with Lewandowski. I think what you get then is a number 9 who, if you give them lots of chances, they'll score lots of goals. But that's what we had with Lukaku. All right, we didn't have any build-up play, and Lewandowski does have that in his locker. But I think United need... We almost need... I think pace is going to be really important in United's team. Interchangeability and some flair. So I don't... For me, again, I'd ask you, like I asked with Coutinho, Lewandowski, I just don't see him as what he's very good, and he would definitely do a better job than Lukaku, but I just don't see that as what United need as their number 9. I think we need somebody who's going to be here for a few years for a start, and I don't see. I know he's a lot younger than Zlatan was when he came, but there's no longevity in it, and I think United need. Look, I suppose I'll say it in a bottom line. If you're offering me Gareth Bale or you're offering me Leon Bailey, well, Leon Bailey's not as good as Gareth Bale, but I'd take Leon Bailey every day of the week because Gareth Bale's going to give you 2 or 3 years, and Leon Bailey could give you 10. And I think that's what my mindset at Manchester United is now. Is I don't mind taking the lesser player if they can potentially give us more over a longer period of time because we are building a team. I'm not really interested in the players coming in for a couple of years who might be better players because we've done that. That's where I stand on it with Manchester United. And I think there's a very interesting discussion to be had about the centre defensive midfield position. I'd love to see what people are putting in the comments about this. We are linked to a lot of people, midfielders. We desperately need a centre defensive midfielder. And I look at some of the people that are being mentioned, the Ndembele's, the Thomas Partey's, the Tillemans. And yeah, I suppose at a push they can play CDM, and some of them have played CDM, but it's not really their specialist position. What CDMs are there out there that we're being linked to? Because we desperately need one. If Matic is our CDM next season, I fear for us. I really do. So, yeah, get in the comments and give us your thoughts on that. Coutinho we've spoken about. Lo Celso, who I spoke about yesterday, looks like he's going to Spurs. So that was a short-lived link, really. Looked like a decent player, the Argentinian lad at Betis. But looks like he's going to go to Spurs. So that's where the link to United obviously came in. You can read it like a bad book. Spurs negotiating a deal. let's mention Manchester United's interest to get a few million out of it. That we do get used like that, and we need to accept that that's the way it goes. And very interestingly, Teddy Sheringham, who was obviously part of the Legends game at the weekend, he's come out and said that Manchester United should go for Harry Maguire. He's a very good footballer, and he's a believer in, United need to have a bit more of a British spine in the team. I think that sort of comment, I suppose, in the modern day can be perceived as being a little bit nationalistic. You've got to have British players, I said this a few weeks ago, and I don't necessarily like that. I saw United. There was an article about it about a month ago saying United want to bring in young British players. I don't really see that as being relevant when you look at Yuri Tillemans is Belgian. Look what he's done in 6 months. Ruben Neves, he's come in from Portugal and he's done fantastically well as a young midfielder. So I don't think, you've got to buy Declan Rice instead of Ruben Neves because he's English. I don't agree with that. But I do think that Harry Maguire would be a decent signing for United. As I said, he's not my number one. I think we've got to hang in there for De Ligt and Koulibaly as long as you can. And if we end up getting knocked out of the ring, there's Harry Maguire as a decent option. The main thing is we've got to bring a centre back in. We can't just go, we didn't get De Ligt, let's not sign anybody. No, that's disastrous. We've got to go and get somebody. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video, everybody, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Get your comments in below. Do you think Wan Bissaka is realistic? Do you think we are close to a deal? I don't, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be right. Lozano, right wing option. What are we looking at now? Daniel James is obviously going to come in, we think, but right wing option. Who should we be looking at? Sancho's out of the equation. Centre back issue. Alderweireld, Harry Maguire. What are you thinking about those? If the worst happens and we don't sign De Ligt, Coutinho, Lewandowski, striking options. Would you take Coutinho? Lots to discuss. And remember the one I asked you as well, CDM. Come on, give us some realistic CDMs to play the CDM role. Not somebody who's a box-to-box who you think can play there. I don't think we can't be playing Matic or McTominay there next season, or Fred. We need a CDM. Who do you go with? Get in the comments. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'll speak to you all later. Thanks for watching.